My name's Matt. I'm an alcoholic. We're going to open, for those who ain't never been here before, we're going to open this meeting up with a moment of silence. It's going to be a little bit longer than a second to hopefully kind of clear our brains and escape the world and hopefully have a new experience with this step of surrendering. Josh, you can take us out when you're ready. All right, like I said, my name's Matt, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm just a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is not a registered Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. We prayed about it and haven't passed the bill yet. So we do pass the basket, and that goes to coffee, rent, and such and such. We can reach a certain point. We just kind of quit passing the basket. And we also buy big books, and we do give people big books who can't afford to buy big books. We don't buy brand new big books because they're too fucking expensive. We buy used big books for $4. After I buy 10 big books, I get a free big book. I can't even read the big book, but I get free big books because I got a award system. It's just some cool stuff, you know. Only in Alcoholics Anonymous, you have a guy who has a book website where he can get free books. He can't even read them, you know. So that you only see that in AA. So anyway, last week we talked about step 2, which is going to engage us to step 3, which is one of my favorite little steps to kind of talk about my experience, strength, and hope, or what I actually give up and what I'm still trying to give up today, or whatever seems to be whooping my rear end that week. We believe in following along, paying attention, and being considerate. We believe in sponsorship. If you're not really sure, you don't have a sponsor, you just got a detox, or your sponsor been canceling on 8 and 9 because maybe he hasn't went that far with his sponsor or whatever the case is. We have people who will be happy to do whatever they can to win your confidence, to try to help you. If you kind of don't relate to that guy, there's nothing wrong with that. You come talk to me after the meeting. If you don't relate to that woman, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, is there any men who need a sponsor? Any women? So, we're going to go to how it works. If you don't have a big book, we'll give you a big book for just in case you came to the meeting unarmed. So these meetings was created probably 7-8 years ago. And the idea why we created these meetings is because I got tired of sitting in open discussion meetings with people taking fucking pictures and talking to each other. That's why these meetings were created. It was actually in a 3-quarter house where it blew up. And we could do pretty much whatever. We'll never ban you from these meetings. But we have zero tolerance for disrespect. There's some people who might be messed up and pretty hopeless. And their attention span is so short. And they try to listen, but their head's still going. So that's why these meetings are created. Where we can just pretty much, if you want to talk, I will sit down and you can come tell us all about it. If not, you don't have to come here. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I ain't going broke. I don't work off of insurance. I don't work off of fucking pleasing you. I didn't come here who can I please today? I came up here to live. That's why I'm here. I came up here to try to help one person maybe and to live. That's it. You know? If you had to have that conversation so bad, you can leave. If you got to get your papers signed and you're just here to do your 5 meetings a week, who's signing papers? Who's Lacey? I don't know no female's name. Hey, Lacey. She's signing papers. So, no, unless they're dating one of my sponsees. Or my old lady sponsors them. So, you can leave. I have a lot of experience of running a sober living house. One of the worst things I ever done is make it mandatory for people to get a sponsor, make it mandatory to go to a home group, make it mandatory to get through the steps and do all this stuff. And that was the worst thing I ever done. And I actually seen some people actually go through the steps and try to sponsor people and kind of get excited a little bit. It didn't last. The best approach is this is what we're doing. If you want it, that's fine. If not, get old dude to sponsor you that he don't even tell you when the next time you meet, and you can post 100 selfies on Facebook. You can sleep with all the women and have no other conscience in Alcoholics Anonymous and just continue to rip from people's lives. Meanwhile, you might be able to go on a spree with her. Then you can rent her out. So, you know? The truth facts of alcoholism. The sad thing is that we was, me and John, and I say this and we get to the steps. Me and John was like, me and John's coming back from Home Depot about lunch. And we're down here in the hood working on this house. And there's this girl skipping across the road. Skipping. Okay, barefooted, in a dress, like this. Half, it's sad, it's not really that funny, but half her dress is unbuttoned in the back and she just, hair's all greasy. And John's like, there you go, Matt. And I'm like, dude, she might hear that. And then I ain't gonna be able to get rid of this girl. I'm gonna have to like pepper spray her. Bad, bitch, she gone. But the truth is, that's us skipping. Huh? You ever been out there like doing something and you keep dropping it on the ground? You know what I mean? That's us skipping. Lost. You know? So, all right, we'll pick up reading in the book, how it works. This is something that's read every meeting that nobody pays attention to, or people talk, or people play on their phone. This is something that's this was the most, writing the big book, this was the thing that was rewrote the most times. And this is what they wanted to lay out at you when you go to Alcoholics Anonymous. Now you got to think, in the early days of Alcoholics Anonymous, we didn't have open discussion meetings. There was one meeting a week set aside for you to bring your problem of having any questions about alcohol. One meeting a week. That means one meeting a week, your newcomer could come in here and maybe classify yourself and say, hey, bro, are you this or are you not? Now, alcoholics, look, I'm not here to bash treatment centers or sober living, huh? But I'm coming in as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. So that means I don't care if you live in Oxford, you live in this house, I don't care where you live. Because it's a non-profit organization. I'm not here over where you live or what work or what's your job. My job is to hopefully hold you accountable by you doing what the hell I'm doing. If you want it, you gotta want it. That's what we talked about in step 2 last week. I don't care who you believed in. Think about it. We all believed in something at some point. But did us not? Shit. Go to page 55. Actually, we was fooling ourselves.
For deep down in every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God.
That little innermost voice, don't do this, but I continue to do what I want to do. Keep reading, watch.
It may be obscured by calamity.
Calamity means internal, using things to fill my instinct by worship, how we worship shoes, how we worship the gym, how we worship PlayStation, how we worship women, relationship, or we don't even worship none of them things. But then we say we're not in fear, but we possess all these things to make us okay, and it's only temporarily. Keep reading.
But in some form or other it is there. For faith in a power greater than ourselves and miraculous demonstrations of that power in human lives are facts as old as man himself. We finally saw that faith in some kind of God was a part of our makeup, just as much as the feeling we have for a friend.
Our makeup, that's what we're talking about tonight. Our makeup is our instincts. God made us a certain way. When a single father takes care of a kid, it harms them. Because the father is more laid back. He's going to try to be like, be careful, you're going to hurt yourself. But more like a man, if you have men instincts. Some men don't, but we'll be like, go ahead, do it. I'm telling you, you're going to bust your... Do it. Women, you ain't going out the house looking like that. What you wearing that for? No, you're going to hurt yourself, So the reason why I'm saying this, because God made us all a certain way. And then God made us all with certain personalities. And if you look at the sequel events of history, they took the ego side of Bill. It took the true believer and Dr. Bob, and it took Clarence Snyder, who just said, dude, y'all do whatever y'all want. I'm going to still help people. I'm with y'all, you know? And still today, there's people like that. The ego, the ones that bite their tongue, the ones who just sit back and listen more. Everybody has a certain gift. Now, even with humans, everybody has these things called makeup, which is instincts. The reason for me is why not only am I an alcoholic, but I'm so sick, is because these things are warped. And I'm not only an obsession of a mind, but I obsess about different things. And I think them things is going to make me happy, and I overexert my will to get them. And once I achieve them, I throw them away and I'm on to something else. Does that make sense? And for me, as a sick, I'm not up here to share my experience because I'm a spiritual giant. I'm up here to share my experience because I'm spiritually sick. I meet with sponsees throughout the week, not because I'm well. It's because I'm sick. It's because self and self-centered is still enrooted in me. Keep reading. Then go to page 58. Go. Hold on. Finish reading, then go to 58.
Sometimes we had to search fearlessly, but he was there.
And step 4, search fearlessly. We got to find out what is these things. Why does this dominate me so much? And then hopefully we can have some kind of triangle to stabilize it to satisfy it. Does this make sense? Without a triangle, without being a part of, without feeling like when you hold the door for an old lady or you spend some quality time with your kids or your mama, you feel good about yourself. But how do we overexert them things and make it so important? And it becomes good and it becomes sick. And then we become resentful, right? Yeah, okay, keep reading.
He was as much a fact as we were. We found a great reality deep down within us.
All right, go to page 58. So rarely have we seen a person fail, has thoroughly followed our path. Thoroughly follow our path. Thoroughly follow our path. R means the first 100. It don't mean me, Tevin, all these other people. We are following the first 100. To the best of our ability. We're not perfect, and neither are they. You know? I don't know anything. Look, I'm not here to argue with people about how to work the steps and what could, and especially if you're going to try to hit me with a treatment plan. I'm not even going to waste my breath with you. Go do your goddamn treatment plan. I'm here to represent Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm here to represent my example of how I could be completely powerless in step 1, and that knowing that this obsession is going to return, my life is in a wreck, and within 3 or 4 weeks, these things drive me right out the door and nobody can help me. See, there's a degree of self, and once that self takes a certain toll, nobody can help me. A meeting can't help me. I'm not even present no more. Nobody can tell me what to do. My ego done took this play and it's in rampage. The only way I humble myself is by a spree. Now, have I been in ego? Have I been sick since then? Absolutely. I'm talking about a certain level. Once, if you go walk out on the beach, it's the best example is this. When you go walk out on the beach, that ocean's coming in and then it pulls out. Comes in and pulls out. But when you get caught in self-will, which is a rip current, there's no coming out that bitch. It's like it got you all the way over here. I'm working 40 hours a week. I'm talking to 5 women, and I'm going to the gym 6 times. Why do I need to go to a meeting? I haven't made all my amends, and I'm okay as long as I post 16 selfies a day. The rip current got your ass. You can't see the delusion, and you're still trying to wrest satisfaction and happiness out of the world. Only if you manage well. It's okay. Keep managing it. Yeah? Hold head and make a soft ass. You know? So, keep reading.
Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program.
Very simple. Completely screwed. Come to believe in somebody. What did you offer to God? What are you trying to figure out? What, you want to write 10 things why you're fucking powerless? But the bad thing is, if she came out of detox the first week, and then give her 3 weeks, you know what she's not going to think? She's that powerless. Oh, yeah, I need to work that, but, you hear it? But, I got my kids, my job, just like Jim. His family was reassumed. He started working for this job he once lost through drinking. All went well for a while, but he failed to enlarge his spiritual life. We worked with him over 12 times. He continued to do kratom. He continued to plug up steroids on his butt, and he continued to work out 100 times. And next thing you know, he kept going on sprees. Keep reading.
Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves.
Step 1, principle, honest. Keep reading.
They are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from great emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest.
Why do people always think that we all alcoholics is like psychopaths? That we have all this mental health issue. I don't care what you are. If you're not obsessing over alcohol, you're obsessing over something. Every once in a while, if you work in some kind of program, you get some kind of thing called peace of serenity. And then later on, here comes obsession over PlayStation. Here comes obsession over fishing. Here comes obsession over trying to save $10,000. And once you reach that goal, it still isn't enough. Here comes trying to spend more time with the kids. Once you spend that time, you're still miserable. Now you need to do more in AA. You know? I guess I'm just mental health ill, right? I'm just not well balanced. Okay, keep reading.
Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now.
So what you used to be like. Now, and talking to a new guy, you could tell him all about your escapades, and it depends on where he'd been. If this guy always had a job and just kept using and bad shit happened, I'm not going to tell him about walking the streets butt naked or looking at the Red Roof Inn. He don't know nothing about all that, you know, so I'm going to use my story. Now, if I'm at Club 12 or a regular AA meeting, I'm not going to go all into drugs, and I'm just going to look. But every time I dump that stuff, alcohol or other things in my body, I can't stop and I believe a lie. And then I'm going to, how you really hook them is that their head's running. That's how you hook them. You're like, oh yeah, you can't sleep at night. You're thinking that all these things is going to make you happy. You can't wear the same shirt to the meeting. Yeah. It takes you 45 minutes to get dressed. If you're a man and it takes you over 45 minutes to get dressed, you got a problem. If it takes you over 5 minutes to get dressed. Now women, I don't know nothing about women, okay? I'm not a woman, so. But us guys, you know, if we are going to a meeting, like I'm going to a meeting to try to help Chris, or I'm trying to trudge with my guys, I don't care what I wear. Yeah? It don't matter what I wear. It don't matter. I don't even buy clothes for myself no more. That's the cool thing. When I used to have 20 pairs of shoes, still in boxes, buku chains, watches, diamond earrings, all these things. 15s, 12-inch TVs. And we could just go on. And none of it was never enough. Keep reading. General way, what we used to be like, what happened, I went through the steps. It's always pretty cool. If you read in the Fords of the Second Edition, we are hope to hear from those who's getting results in this book, particularly those who commence to work with others. I would never tell nobody not to share in a meeting. They can share whatever they want. That's your conscience and your choice. But I always like to point that out when I started sponsoring a guy, and that, especially if he's kind of new, especially if an ego guy like me who wants to talk about everything he learned at Dan Wood Lake or something. You know, I want to say, hey, bro, we want to hear from those who's getting results in this book, particularly those who commence to work with others. And I don't say nothing else. Think about it. If you're not working the steps and you're not working with others, what are you talking about? We're in Alcoholics Anonymous. What you're going to tell me about your day? You're going to tell me about you're going to try to write a 4-step while you sleep with 5 women and never write it? Like, what are we doing here? You know? Now, if you have experience with step 1, we're talking about gym. Everybody could share on that. It don't matter where you're at. But if you ain't making no amends, why are you talking about amends? This is not group therapy. If you came here for group therapy, you're in a world of shit. Because you got some psychopaths in here if you like me, you know? So, and then what we're like now, that hopefully you're not going to bed till midnight, you're trying to sponsor people, you're cramming your schedule to try to give to life and not take his life, where some of them things quiet down where it's not so important in my life no more. You know? Keep reading.
If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, and you are ready to take certain steps. And some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not.
So what's the insurance? We thought we could find an easier, softer way. It means if you relapse and you didn't want to work the steps and didn't want to do this and you've been in and out 20 times like me, some of them balked too. They thought they could find easier salt away. Did I not think I could find easier salt? Hell yeah. 90 meetings, 90 days, hook up with Club 12, hook up with oh yeah, hang out in Oxford, playing kickball, I'm in recovery. You know, I done did all kind of shit. I did everything but follow one of them bozos around and stay up to midnight praying about how I could help a junkie like me. Like, how the hell is that? You know, it's crazy. Like, they tell me do this and this is going to fix you. And I'm like, I don't know about all that. And the shit worked. I was okay with me. That's the gift. I'm okay with me for once when I'm helping somebody. Keep reading.
With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power, that one is God. May you find him now.
So you did step 1, step 2. At this point, you're trying to find God. There's one who has all power, that one is God. May you find him now. So like, think about it. If you lost your keys, if you lost your makeup, if you lost your wallet, how hard would you look for that shit? And you would not give up until you find it. So what about this? That's the problem when I think I'm okay. When I think I'm okay, it's back to the rip current. Some more pain to be done. And that's what they say. Remember you did with alcohol, cunning, baffling, power. They're talking about the obsession. And yeah, that's powerful. It will come back. But what's more powerful than that obsession is you trying to fix your fucking life. Think about it. Yeah, the grace of God, the obsession got removed. If you've been sober for 90 days before, 2 months, 3 months, and ain't did no steps, you was the soberest you're going to get. Don't say anything else. But why do you go back? The manageability in my mind is the most strongest thing I'm going to battle with for the rest of my life. Still today for me. That's why this program is designed to reduce it, as we're going to read later on. Keep reading.
Half measures availed us nothing. Stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon.
You abandon your ideas, your instincts, your thoughts to the best of your ability at this point. This is the beginning. Some people, hey look, I've been on both sides where like I make a step 3 decision to abandon my life. Or we'd be like, make a decision what? To write an inventory. I'm in treatment. For what? You don't want to change? Done that 2 or 3 times. They won't change. I just want to get rid of this obsession. It ain't going to work, man. It ain't going to work. Because deep down inside there's a funnel idea of God, but ain't it worship by money, clothes, hoes, women, job, occupations? See, you're fucked. My best bet is be like, here's $20. Oh, by the way, you probably already eating a whole bunch of Seroquel and probably already doing kratom, and you just come here to fuck women. And there's plenty of fish for that. Been there too. I just had a conscience, because in my heart, I've been on a spree with a girl. I hooked up with a girl from AA, and that bitch went on a spree, and that bitch tricked, and that bitch did all that shit. And you know what? I never want to feel that again. At least I hook up with this girl who works at a state and just wants some dick because her husband ain't giving it to her. That's a little bit better than watching this bitch and she relapse, she fall in love with me, done lick the booty hole, and then next thing you know, she at the Red Roof Inn talking about $40. Go to bed with that shit. That shit ain't pretty. And then you gonna come up here and talk about helping motherfuckers. I don't wanna I had to loosen them up a little bit. I'm feeling right back in. The bad thing is we laugh, but that shit true. That shit true. I've been there. I fucked it up. Got the t-shirt for it. Don't want it. I'm not, my sister used to always tell me, she said, you act like this girl and AA has instincts. Yeah. Well, this mom does too. Shut up. Move around, bitch. But at least I'm not taking away from what she needs to be doing. I'm going to be a contributor. Look, man, I understand. I've been sober before. I'm just thankful when I got sober this time, I wasn't in no halfway house. I really feel for y'all, man. Like, if I was at that next step, I would have a extension ladder. I got one on my van. And I'd be in some bitch's window. And then I'd be making amends. Or I'd probably be drunk by now. I'm just thankful I was at my own house where they were still doing dope. And it was a decision of like, am I going to go to AA and hang out with these Nazis? Or am I going to go do dope? It wasn't like, this girl's over here, we're all hanging out. I've been a part of that. I don't know, I get that every once in a while when I drop off sponsees. I'm just so grateful for that. I didn't have them distractions. My job was just to follow this guy around who climbed up the chimney with a butcher knife in his mouth. And that was my job, is just to go everywhere this man went. And maybe, if you want to find out if a newcomer's going to maybe make it, listen to me, maybe, ask them. Say, hey, you found God? Are you going to stay sober? If they say yes, watch them. Because they don't want the battle in their mind. See, my hope was maybe I was going to stay sober. Still today, 10 years later, maybe I might make it another year. But still watching. You know, I have nightmares. People have nightmares about using dreams, and I have them occasionally. I have nightmares about being powerless. You know what that means? Is when you open up your mouth, you have nothing to say. See, some people haven't, you got to look at this. Some people ain't entered, where that book is so goddamn important to me, we can't read past 2 paragraphs. That something has grabbed me in a spiritual awakening on Wednesday night, 2 weeks through the steps. Something happened to me. And I can't give it to people. I might make them excited about it, but I can't give it to you. As much as you want to do it, if you've been in and out the rooms like me, I'll go listen to them speakers and be like, man, that stuff sounds good. And I need to call my sponsor. I need to do 8-9. And I walk out that door and I fall asleep on my phone. And I never call them people. And I never go to barely no other meetings. Rip Curry. So we're going to pick up, let's go to A, B's, and C's.
Agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas.
Hey.
That we were alcoholics and could not manage our own lives.
So that's what I asked the guy. When I get them up to step 3, usually in one day, or unless you've never been to AA, or day 2, means like I hit you with 1, give you a little bit of 2, maybe not 2, depends on what your head's taking. The next day, or the following day, no more than that, I am at your house with a step 3 decision. If you want to go through with this. Why? Because the honesty you just got from step 1 is going like this. You see what I'm saying? And the unmanageability is going like this. See, my job is just to give you an introduction of Alcoholics Anonymous. Hell, what they did when you got out of the hospital, they took you to T. Henry Williams and you offered your life to God and you wrote an inventory right there, and then you came downstairs and you made amends to your wife, and then you went back to the same hospital. People are always like, well, man, you're just, the way you spawn. But, whoa, let's talk about this. Let's talk about some A history. Oh, but this is the, I don't care what year it is. Whether it's 1939 or the 2020, alcoholism's still whooping ass. And not, the bad thing is these people dying before they even could taste that one. They can't stay out there shooting dope long enough to take it. At least I got to be bouncing in and out of AA for 10 years. Hell, I was only using it for 2 years before I went to my first AA meeting. At least I was able to bounce in and out and try to work the steps, try not to work the steps, try to not make amends, try not to sponsor people, try to just join home group, try meeting makers make it, try 90 meetings, 90 days, I tried it all. I wish it was easy. I wish I could give you some kind of easier way, but there's not. So A, that you're alcoholic, you cannot manage your own life. The B, that probably no human power can relieve your alcoholism. If you think that someone can relieve your alcoholism or someone's going to fix you, close your goddamn book. I'm done with you. That's what I tell people. When we get to step 3, and I read it maybe, that God could and would if he was Saul. Back to finding the wallet, back to finding the keys. Period. If you have any, I tell them, look, if you have any idea, do you want to fix this anyway? I mean, I'm not being an asshole. If you want to go to church, or if you think that this relationship, if you could just get this job back, look, dude, call me on the phone, bro. And I'll do whatever I can to help you. I'm going to encourage you I want to hear your thoughts. Let's not waste our time here, because that's the grinder. That's what we're dealing with here. We run your ass through a damn treatment center. We do a little fist step with you. You do a little hour power. You was not even honest maybe on the shit. And then we tell you all about don't say you're sorry when you make amends. And then we tell you when on awakening is. Then we run your ass through the fucking treatment center blump shit. And we do all this shit. And you just fuck them. Well, instead of just letting them make that decision, so when they're ready, you know what's fresh? Step 4. And you know what might work? Step 4. When they're not sitting in that damn fifth step like, well, this guy hit me this way. And they're so goddamn confused. I've done 5 of them, I know. The whole time my sponsor did my inventory this time, I just kept asking God to direct my thinking. Direct my thinking. I'm like, man, why you want to hit me this way? Hold on, motherfucker. Forget, this man's 4 years sober. I'm a month, 80 pounds sitting on the couch like I sucked on a lemon. So, yeah. What the fuck I know hasn't left me nowhere but fucked. Looking on the floor, watching the camera while I sleep with somebody. You know what I mean? True story. Not a pretty sight to see, So, sad, Being convinced, we are now at step 3. So what are you convinced of? The A, B's, and C's. If you're not convinced, back to the book. If you're not, I'm not here. My ego, when I was young in sobriety, wants to make you convinced that you're powerless and that there's no other way. No alcohol likes to be told what to do. That's why they're better. If I tell them, hey, you gotta go to this meeting, hey, you gotta sponsor people, I'd just be like, do whatever the fuck you want, bro. I told the guy not too long about he want to get involved with me, want to do all this and want to do that, and I'm like, okay. Didn't hear from him a week, jammed him up. I actually went to the last stop there. Somebody tell their story. And I seen him up in there, and he came sneaking in. You seen his face just drop when he seen my ass, And I'm like, oh yeah, bitch, copping deuces on a late night tip at a meeting, huh? So I go in there and I talk to him. He's like, I just don't see why I got to go to meetings all the time. I just don't, I'm like telling, because I told him, I said, bro, you want what I have. These are the meetings I'm going to. These are the times I'm meeting sponsees. And look, I'm praying about putting you in the schedule, but I'm not going to be continue praying about putting you in the schedule if I don't see your ass on a Monday or Wednesday or Friday night. What am I praying about? That you're not fucking here is what I'm praying about. That hopefully you found somebody else and you found God and you're going to have awesome fellowship. That I'm not going to get the call, hey, he died. So, make a long story short, I'm sitting here telling him over and over, he's like, I don't see why. I said, well, don't do this shit. I'm sorry you came to Alcoholics Anonymous. I felt bad for arguing with this fucker like this. And then finally I just said, hey, you know what? I went to your partner's funeral. I went to a couple of your partner's funerals for Thibodeau. And I said, you know what? When you fucking die, I go to yours. Do what the fuck you want. Holler at me if you need anything. And then he called me the next day. Bro, I really need to get in the book with you. I'm like, okay. See you for a week and don't see him no more. But he might be doing well. He might not be an alcoholic. Keep this in mind, guys. That's what I hope for. I hope you're not like me. And I hope that big booty old lady just sucks you right in and you have some babies and everything's great. And you're not bozo like me that just destroys all that dead sober. So, being convinced, we are at step 3.
Which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to the care of God as we understood him. Just what do we mean by that and just what do we do? The first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. On that basis, we're almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good.
Only an alcoholic want to come to Alcoholics Anonymous and tell Alcoholics Anonymous how to work their fucking program. Keep reading.
Most people try to live by self-propulsion. Each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show. Is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenes, the rest of the If his arrangements would only stay put, if only people would do as he wished, the show would be great. Everybody, including himself, would be pleased. Life would be wonderful. In trying to make these arrangements, our actor may sometimes be quite virtuous. He may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest.
That's like you wait outside for this girl to get in your car. You bring her to a meeting, and she's going to take extra 15 minutes to get ready. And you're like, oh, it's okay. Now, if you got a guy that's sitting in there combing his hair, putting on a collar shirt, you're like, dude, this dude don't come on, bro. I'm about to leave his ass. See, we may be kind, patient, modern self-sacrifice. You know? I bring all these people around or do all these things to get what I want. Modern self-sacrifice. Or I only talk to people who got cars, will ride me around. As soon as I get a car, I don't even fuck with them people no more. Keep reading.
But as with most humans, he is more likely to have varied traits. What usually happens? The show doesn't come off very well. He begins to think life doesn't treat him right. He desires to exert himself more. He becomes, on the next occasion, still more demanding or gracious, as the case may be. Still, the play does not suit him. Admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he is sure that other people are more to blame. He becomes angry, indignant, self-pitying. What is his basic trouble? Is he not really a self-seeker even when trying to be kind? Is he not a victim of the delusion that he can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if he only manages well?
See, my obsession of like having nice things and things are going good in my life is only temporary. It's like smoking crack. And I continue to chase it. I continue to snatch things out of life thinking I'm going to wrest happiness and satisfaction out of it. Does this make sense? It sucks. Keep reading.
Is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are things he wants?
Watch it.
And do not his actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can get out of the show? Is he not, even in his best moments, a producer of confusion rather than harmony?
Producer, confusion rather than harmony. Producer, confusion. I mean, I'm in confusion. I run a whole bunch of women to Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm only a friend when I can get what I want. I'm only a friend to grab you, to bring me around, to joust with me, to bring you down where we can shop for women in meetings or whatever the case is. I'm just nothing but confusion. People think that you got to change the people you roll with. It's not the people that you need to change the roll with. If you would change, do you think if somebody's going to come up to me and be like, man, Matt, that girl's really fine. Do you know her name? I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I ain't come here for that, man. You know? I'm not saying you're never going to have sex again. I'm not a priest, okay? You know? I'm far from one. But this is where I live at. This is where I'm doing service work at. I care less what kind of women's going on in here. And if you came here for this, I speak that because that was my perception of Alcoholics Anonymous when I got sober. For real. I didn't know. And then I harmed all these women. And this girl would catch me. I hooked up with her at Young and the Restless, and she would catch me at Club 12 with her. And I had all this confusion around me. And it was always negativity about what this person's doing in this house and how this person's sick and how this person's not writing the inventory. This person's not sponsoring people. And a lot of time, if I look hard enough, it's just really me. Because I'm only going to 2 meetings a week. I'm not making as many amends. See, a lot of times when someone disturbs me with their ego or whatever the fuck is going on with them, if I look within myself, I've been doing this for a long time, so I have to look in myself, and I train myself to look at myself. And a lot of times that person is doing something that I'm doing or I just came out of. See, my ego wants to tell me to focus on you, to not look at me, to bring you down to make me feel better. Keep reading.
Our actor is self-centered, egocentric, as people like to call it nowadays. He is like the retired businessman who lolls on the Florida sunshine in the winter complaining of the sad state of the nation.
This house is sick. Don't go there. Keep reading.
The minister who sighs over the sins of the 20th century, politicians and reformers.
That treatment center's sick. That meeting's sick. It don't matter. If that means sick, that's where you need to be at. Huh. When the people say that this is a sick meeting, good. I'm glad it's sick. That's why I come. I come for the people who are trying to take step one. I come for the people who I got to pick up your Kratom bottles in the fucking parking lot. I come for you. That's why I'm here. If we was all well, then why else would we fucking be here? But somehow when I'm sick and you're sick and we start talking about how sick we are, we start to feel better. Keep reading.
Politicians and reformers who are sure all would be utopia if the rest of the world would only behave. Don't lost safecrackers who think society has wronged him
And the alcoholic who's lost all,
and is locked up.
prayers go up, blessings come down. Keep reading.
Whatever our processations, are not most of our concerns with ourselves,
Ourselves. Ain't most of us concerned with what? Ourselves. Keep reading.
our resentment,
Who the hell fucked me over? Keep reading.
or our self-pity.
Cannot believe he done me that way. Keep reading. Selfish and self-centered that we think is the root trouble. Driven by 100 forms of fear. Driven. You don't have no choice. That's what people don't understand. When you are driven by self and you are driven by fear, you have no choice. There's no shut-off valve. Like, what can you, like, that's like you say, hey, why don't you work this program? No, you're driven. Hell, you're still on the goddamn phone. Your ass is lost. You don't even know why you're here. Maybe because there's cute girls for some fucking reason. You forgot where the fuck you came. That like, if I was going to do that, I'd just sit at home with my lube and my porn. And rub on my old lady booty or just jack off on her while she's sleeping or something. Yeah, like, if I'm going to play on my phone, why else do I come here? I got a PlayStation, I got 3 cars, I got a boat, and I got over $20,000. What the fuck? I got buku money, man. What the fuck I'm coming up here for? To play on my phone? To sit here and be lost? Like playing Duck, Duck, Goose? Like I'm hiding, you at the Red Roof Inn, I'm going to find you? What the fuck? Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why the fuck you here. And then you want to get mad when a motherfucker come up to you and jam you up at the meeting. Like, you got a sponsor? What the fuck's wrong with you? What else you supposed to do? That's what people like missing. The meetings done changed. The environment done changed. People like think that this is okay. I look at it as disrespect. I look at it as a sick, lost boy. Because hell, I was lost 30 minutes ago out there. But right now, I'm back to presence. I'm back to truth. I'm back to looking at how far Ashley came. I'm looking at how far Kristen came when he shares his spirit. I'm looking at Tevin trying to get in a relationship. John done made a year. I'm looking at all kind of cool shit in the meeting. I ain't even said shit. You missed the miracle. By the grace of God, these dudes ain't spilling paint on the goddamn floor. You know, covering up with newspaper. Oh, there ain't nothing wrong with me. Yeah? John boy, yeah? Yeah? Poor John. So driven by 100 forms of fear. Fear I ain't going to get what I want. Fear I'm going to get hurt. Fear I ain't going to get in a relationship. So I'll talk to 5 different women because I know they're going to hurt me. That there's no reason to invest in one because they're going to hurt me. Why? For me, that I've been abandoned. My emotional securities were dominated. My mom smoked crack in and out of my life. All these things went on in my life that scarred me. As we're going to talk about next week, that these things scarred me. Scars means a wound. Now, these wounds reopen as a girl leaves me talking about, like, that's one thing you could talk to my old lady and you could talk to any girl I've ever been with in a serious relationship. They tell me, oh, I'm just going to leave. That's the worst thing to say to me. I'm like, bye. And you might not come back. Because them scars is touchy to me. Like, oh, you going to leave me? Fuck, bye. And yeah, ain't no like, oh, I leave, pack your shit, put it in the car, and come. I don't play all that. It's hard enough for me to let you sleep here every night. Much less, you done left your toothbrush and your panty. And then you talking about leaving me because we in a fight, man. You ain't built for this. You take a strong woman to put up with my crazy ass. So it just ain't gonna work. Because I've been hurt, I've been harmed my whole life. So you look at these things, which is the instinct, driven by 100 forms of fear, self-pity. Self-delusion means I believe this stuff. We step on the toes of our fellows that they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us, seemingly without application. They hurt me by stepping on my instinct. But invariably, we make decisions based on self and later put us in a position to be hurt. So our trouble is based on our own making. Means our troubles are what we're doing. We run out of time. I got to squeeze this to the solution. Our troubles is based on our own making. They rise out of my instincts, myself. See, they rise out of my instinct. See, when them instincts dominate you, it's no shutting it off. Does this make sense? Am I backing it? When the lust is dominating you and your emotional security is dominating you and all, whatever your shit is, the judgment, the wrong, the resentment, the wrong judgment of others, so you criticize them to build up your self-esteem and your personal relationship. When them things dominate you, you start getting in all collision. We get this job. We think we ought to run the business out there week and everybody's doing it wrong, you know? And we start putting school and we get in the counseling school and we're in church. And hell, I should be all the way up here preaching to these guys. They don't know what they're talking about. You know, and I use my family to make me feel good about myself and be a man and be, you know, feel my personal relationships and my wife. You know, and anytime these roles reverse and I use these people to fulfill these roles, me get resentful. Because God, these people ain't meant to fulfill these roles. But when I'm trying to be a husband and I'm trying to be a boss or employee to the best of my ability, not out of ego, but doing what I think God would have me do, is trying to be a good boss and trying to be a good employee to my boss. I have another boss, and then I am a boss. So, you know, it's kind of weird. But when I use these people to build up my self-esteem and my personal relationship, then I get mad because they're not moving fast enough. Does this make sense, guys? Okay, and I get in a hurry and all these things start going on. But when I sit back and I'm just doing what God wants me to do, and I'm taking my time and showing them and really paying attention to what's going on that day and not stuck in my phone, I seem to have a lot more happier days. Does that make sense? Okay, so then we have emotional security and material. Now, if you're an ego-driven guy like me, when I get in fear about money comes sexual and hidden sex conduct. Why is that? And some of y'all ain't been sober long enough to even think about this shit. But when I'm in fear about paying my rent or in fear about the money I spent, then comes my hidden sex conduct. Because of these two instincts is like right next to each other. Emotional securities means emotional securities are having friends. You know, emotional securities are having a companionship. Emotional security. Then you have material securities. So when my material threatens me, this is how sick I get and delusional. And I learned this over the past by making a mistake. Is I start running and hidden sex conduct and porn and all these other things and women trying to fulfill it. And then I'm making a mess. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm writing, I'm doing mini inventory, and I'm looking, and I realize that them instincts are so close together, I run in self-reliance and I can't even see it. That my mind is tricking me to use these people to fulfill my emotional security, but my emotional securities ain't even dominate me. And once I get them, I'm like, bye, 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 bye. You know? Anybody know what I'm talking about? You know? It's like you talking to a person, as soon as you get the picture, you don't even want to talk to them again. As soon as you sleep with them, you don't even text them again. You use them temporarily to fulfill your instinct, and then you're on. Think about all the amends you have to make in AA. I made a lot. It sucks. You know? Especially when you're looking at a girl in the meeting, or you're looking at 5 in the meeting that you just talked to and you never talk to again. You know? Now, it depends on how far that went. You know? And if you did think you created harm there, I don't know. That's between you and God and your conscience. You know? But that's up to writing and praying and meditating if you are praying and if you are writing. So, that's a whole nother discussion. So, there's no Tyler getting rid of self without his aid. Many of us had more without his aid. Many of us had more physical conviction, dramatic shit happening in our life, but we couldn't reduce our self-centeredness or trying our own power. We had to have God's help. So, knowing like all the dramatic stuff happening in my life, I couldn't even reduce it on my own power. The question is like, how do we get God's help? How do we let faith has to work in and through us, or we perish or we die? So faith is not sitting in that chair all the time talking to God. Faith might be sitting out there going to pick up a cigarette butt, going out there talking to the guy that's playing on their phone. Don't go out there and yell at him. I'm not here to say, hey, Barry, you're wrong. You're a sick guy. You don't have to tell him how sick he is. He already knows it, or he might not think it. All you got to do is tell him how sick you are. And he's going to get the hell away from you because it's going to hit him in his chest, the 5 C's. See, that's where we get lost. I'm not here to tell you the truth about yourself. You tell me what's going on, and I'll tell you my experience with that. If I've never robbed a bank with 3 midgets, I'm not going to tell you I have no experience of robbing a bank with 3 midgets. Pray about it. Search out some alcoholics. And if I know somebody who had robbed the bank with 3 midgets, I will send them your way. But I have no experience with that. But I do have experience of my head running. I do have experience of not making amends. I do have experience of messing up a lot of things in Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, pretty much shitting where I eat. So, not proud of it. You know, so anyway, read the next sentence. We got wine. It didn't work. Next in the drama of life. What is the drama of life? Wow, you just graduated Woodlake? That don't sound too damn drama. Next in your drama of life. 3 years in the penitentiary, 10 mental hospitals later, 3 treatment centers, by the way, a divorce, and buku women at Al-Anon, and my mom fucking can't sleep at night. What's your drama of life? You praying yourself to sleep, you don't want to do it, and you're doing it again. And everything you had tried to do to fix it didn't work. What is your drama of life? I don't know what your drama of life is. I know what mine is. I'm just telling you about it. And I can still remember that shit still today, and I could go through times of being 5 years sober wanting to blow my fucking brains out. What is the drama of life? When God actually gives you something that you've been screwing over all the women that came in your life and she done it to you and you don't like the way it feels. And you're comboed with jealousy, suspicion, bitterness, and resentment, and guilt, shame, remorse, and fear, and self-reliance, and knowing that you're harmed. And all them things hit you at one, and you can't drink it even if you wanted to. That sucks. And you might never, you know, some of y'all may never see that. I believe if you stay sober long enough, you get hit with a wave. And it's like peeling onion. And once you get hit in that, there's no shaking it. It's just like you're hanging on to these newcomers and you're hanging on to these sponsees. You're just riding. And that's what happened. I rode. And I cried. And them guys called me every morning to support me. My sponsees. They couldn't say nothing. They didn't was like, man, you're selfish there. What good is that going to do? I'm already wanting to die. I know I'm selfish. But how do I get rid of the pain? It's not pretty sight, you know? So next in the drama life, God's going to be our director. He's the principal, we're his agent. He's the father, we're his children. Most good ideas are simple. I'm not telling God what I think he should do by putting these good girls in my life. That happened. I've done that before, and it didn't work, and she turned out to be the worst thing that ever happened to me. I'm just, look, I'm a child, and I'm still a child. And like I used to tell John, I said, John, you're just infinite. Sorry. Keep hanging on, keep coming back. He's like, everything crazy. You got to do the steps in 2 or 3 weeks. I'm trying to help you. I'm like, you're just infinite, son. Keep hanging on. It will pass, or you'll get stale, and you'll be like, I feel like God's not answering my prayers. I feel like, I'm like, yeah, okay. Now we're going somewhere. It's okay. I'm still a child too. You know? And that's when my life is good, is when I'm being a child. And you look at the scenes here. What happens to a child when he don't listen to his parents? You know? And when I don't listen to my father, I get overwhelmed with resentments, guilt, shame, self-reliance of how I could fix these things. Then ego. Check this shit out. I like this ego thing. I get this ego thing that I think I should be farther along than this. And I'm like, man, when am I ever going to get rid of this? And when is God going to take away my cussing? You know, when can I go be a pastor somewhere? I don't say that, but I mean, just an example of my delusion in my mind. You know, so, when am I going to be more spiritually fit? God damn, I get tired of talking about big booties. Y'all think I enjoy talking about that? It just comes, okay? And then when I fall short, I'm like, when is God going to take this from me? See, that's when the shit dominates you. But you realize that God put certain people in your life for a reason. And then, look, imagine going through something in sobriety and you didn't help nobody with it. It was pointless. Your whole existence was just pointless. So you mean to tell me out of all the mistakes you made, this guy sitting in this room right now could relate to every one of them, is going to ask you to do a fucking inventory with them where you already have a sponsor? I've been there many times. I can't tell you how many people I'll sponsor with sex. I'm like, hell, I haven't conquered this yet. They're like, I know, but I think you can help me. And you know what? By me helping them, that shit went at bay for months. The same thing with alcoholism. So, Keep reading. We're about to get out of here.
Most good ideas are simple.
12 and 12. Last thing.
And this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom.
So step 1 is our foundation. This is the cornerstone. And then this is the keystone. The keystone which holds the whole triangle together. So the question is, we're going to read one thing out of 12 and 12. We're going to hit this third step prayer. I got to hit y'all with the third step prayer before we get out of here. But the keystone, this is what holds it all together. I can tell you right now, 10 years ago, on a Wednesday night, I offered my life to God, not even 2 weeks sober. Now, how the hell I can remember? I could tell you who I come to believe in. I could tell you everything. I could tell you my sponsor met with me 3 times a week. I could tell you all the service was. I could tell you when I had a spiritual awakening. I could tell you all this. Now, if you can't tell me some of these events, there's something wrong with your spiritual condition. It's not the 4 through 9 that we're losing people, or the 10, 11, and 12. We're losing you in your foundation. You're going to, look, these are just collusions. This is just information I'm pumping in you. And look, this week I've been sacrificing PlayStation, if you want to know what I've been sacrificing. Next week, it may be lust. It might be porn. You know, the following week might be work. It may be my family the other week. It changes. It goes in seasons. And by then, PlayStation will be back. It was fishing 2 weeks ago. So anything that consumes my mind throughout the day, period. Something excited and want to do. I'm not saying you shouldn't go to concerts or whatever you enjoy doing. It's good. But does any of us know how to actually enjoy that shit? When you haven't enjoyed it, you just keep going, huh? You ever halfway cut the fucking grass? Have you ever halfway cleaned the room? Have you ever halfway you always do it to a strength. If you don't do it to a strength, you're not going to do it at all. You're either sponsoring 18 people or you're sponsoring none. You're either in AA or you're trying not to be in AA. So the question is, like, the cool thing is, like, with the PlayStation and with the fishing and with all this, I'm still sacrificing because it's taking most of my thoughts and I'm not thinking about others. But because of the occupation, because of the people I got to meet, because of the meetings I have to go to, you know what it can't do? Rip current. Suck your ass right out the fucking door. So no matter what, it don't matter. It's like you come in here, you do all this shit, then you get in a relationship, then we don't fucking see you no more. I'm sorry your belief system change. I'm not saying to neglect your spouse, but who's your life owed to? Oh, you do 3 weeks church and do one meeting a week? Have you forgot who saved your ass? I don't know about y'all, but that's how I look at it. I can never pay back to Alcoholics Anonymous of what the God done for me and what Bill done and what God has done for me. I can never take that back. And all that other shit is just distractions from God because I don't know how to actually be in them places anyway. It's beyond my level ability. I get to have moments of watching TV with my kids before I came up here, and I watched a half a movie with them. And you know what I had to do? I had to put on my shoes, and I got to come out here and sacrifice. I always say, hey, bro, I'm doing more than you, and I'm 10 years sober, you might want to fucking look at yourself. You know? I don't do this shit for people to like me. I didn't come here for you to like me. I didn't come here for you to be like, oh, wow, Matt's meeting and all that other bullshit, because it's not even my meeting. I didn't even write on the board, and I didn't read in the book. I just shared my experience of what happened to me in 1, 2, and 3. I just came up here to get out of myself where I could find some kind of power again. Tapping, ganging, access to power. You know? How are we going to keep that power? 12 and 12?
Step 3 represents our imperative to do this. In fact, the effectiveness of the whole AA program will rest upon how well and earnestly we have tried to come to a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him.
The whole program rests upon hit step 3. God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me thy will. God, I offer. I ask my guys when we do a third step prayer on our knees, I said, what are you turning over to God? Oh, my alcoholism? Okay, what do you want to change? What about yourself? Being convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be successful, what are we convinced of? I don't care. Look, the relationship. I'm going to turn the relationship to job. I'm going to just turn over all my fucking crazy thoughts that I can't sleep at night. I don't know. That's for you. I couldn't sleep at night. I'm an alcoholic. My head runs. And you know what? It still runs today if I don't have these thoughts of trying to help people and praying and sacrificing this shit. So God, I offer myself to thee to build me and do with me thy will. Relieve me of the bondage of self, for I've been a slave to self. It have taken everything, my family, my job. I have robbed peace of serenity. My mom was crying last night because she was just, I'm so grateful I could sleep at night. You know? And I'm so proud of you and what God has done for you. That's a good feeling. Consider a guy who watched the window every night. You know? Relieve me of the bondage of self, man. Better do thy will. Take away my difficulties. As God reduced them difficulties and we get a little bit of peace of serenity, why are we getting that? To go out there to witness to other people. To go out there to show you by the love, the power, the way of life. The love, that I love this guy and I want him to survive. I want him to rediscover life. That's why I come up here and shout. Because if you was anything like me, I love you to death. And I would do anything for you. Besides the job, the kids. Yeah, I love my kids and I love my future wife. But your ass is going to die. And you know what? You think everybody's full of shit too. And your head's running uncontrollably and you can't sleep at night. And I know what that feels like. You know? By love, thy power. By the power. The power that helps people. Not Matt. Not the book. Look, the power. The power is God. If this guy gets sober for 1 year and this guy's sober 3 years, this guy's sponsoring 16 people, this guy's sober over here, God did all that. As we talked about our difficulties, as God victory over them in sections, we get some peace of serenity like 2 or 3 days a week. Yeah. The rest of it is trying to strive to be better and going through that pain of dropping the rock, surrendering our lives. You know? Thank everybody for coming out. We're going to close with the Lord's Prayer. John.
Yeah, John, alcoholic.
Hey, Don.
Anybody want to be part of the magic, behind the meeting? Get them next door, man. That'd be awesome. Thank you, John.
We'll just have a moment of silence for all those who are suffering out there. Those who are sleeping outside in the cold. And for those who's going to die and the kids never get to see their parents again. Who has all knowledge and power.